In our culture, everything is based on success. But what is success? Who defined it? Who decided that success was the goal instead of fulfillment? What happens if we shake up that definition? What if we make our own definition of success? My name is Tony Grebmeyer, and on this podcast, I'm going to dig deep into the real stories behind success. Join me as I interview other entrepreneurs who've climbed up Success Mountain and have come back down to share their stories so you can succeed. If you're ready to join a community of other entrepreneurs redefining success and finding fulfillment, go to BeFulfilledLife.com and join the community. Now, let's dive into today's show.
Hey, it is Tony Grebmeyer. Welcome to this week's episode of the Be Fulfilled Show, the real stories behind success. And I'm excited for our guest today. Nick Cavuoto is here from 10 Brands. And one of the coolest things you're going to learn about our guest today is overcoming adversity. And when life isn't a straight line, as an entrepreneur wishes it was, the switchbacks alone can kill you. But if you have, I like to call it perseverance. If you believe, when others doubt, you'll achieve what others doubt. And Nick is one of those guys today. Doesn't matter what gets thrown his way, ninja stars, the ups and downs of life. He just has this way of, finding a way. And some of the cool genius you're going to learn today is how that can be applied right now as a listener to your own life. So Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony. Glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. Definition of success to get you on the show today.
Definition of success, I think, is aim and achievement. But what I will say is you can't have success without safety. It's fleeting at that point. And so it's the combination of safety, aim, and achievement. And consistency, I think, is what I've learned from you to be the best ingredient in that mix.
I like it. All right, let's just jump in, man. There's so many cool things on the horizon right now for you. 10 Brands is just rocking. You've got some cool agency stuff you're doing. Let's bring the Cliff Notes version of your life. Give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds to recap since your last time to now. What are you up to? What's working, not working in your life?
Yeah, man. So we have our fourth kiddo on the way, probably in the next 8 weeks or so, which is really exciting. So that's working. Family life, starting to just double down and figure out ways to prioritize with, a lot of the waves in business. We've had a lot of success. We had a lot of adjustments. We've signed over 100 clients into 10 Brands. We've also had some challenges. When you grow that quick, you have a lot of challenges, and we've learned how to learn through those, to find our ideal client, to find the people who really feel called to serve. And that's been a ton of fun. And also learning the fractional CMO model, I think, is working really, really well right now in the marketplace because there is a lot of disruption. And so at 10 Brands, we're working with entrepreneurs who want to unmute themselves and they want to get their voice out into the world. And then we're also working with mid-market companies that are anywhere from like 10 to 100 million. And we're doubling down and focusing on really a fractional CMO model of where we come in and implement our genius of content marketing and brand along the side with sales and marketing to increase revenue. So those are some big adjustments, as well as live events. And I've just realized, that sometimes you can't have all your eggs in one basket. My dad taught me that lesson really early in life. And it's something that I'm still sometimes learning as we go along. But in business, we get excited. We want to see the big idea win. And, sometimes there's a better path to get to where you want to go. And it's just having the courage as an entrepreneur to just say, this is what's working, this is what isn't, and then make those adjustments along the way. So that's a real quick recap.
Well, there's a lot going on. I'll unpack a couple of things. What's up with the live events? That's really cool.
Yeah, the live event stuff has been awesome. In fact, I think where my primary zone of genius comes in is gathering people together. And again, that's been a bit of a staple for me in my life, whether it was high school parties or whether it was building, nonprofit organizations that were centered on a weekend event every single weekend and making sure that people were inspired and encouraged to be there. So we launched the Power of Influence, which is really just a tribe of mentors in a way. I'm bringing together some of the best people that I know to invest in my community and in their communities as well, whether that's local or it's our online communities. And we're hosting a live event here in Denver on July 21st through the 23rd. And And dude, the lineup's crazy. Tony, thank you for being there, first of all, and for speaking. I know you're going to really help people kind of rattle the internal to say, like, what do you really want? And what are the things that are draining you and driving you? And we need to destroy the excuses in your life and help you flip the switch, get to the other side. And so I appreciate that a ton, as well as Mike Kim. He just wrote the book, You Are the Brand, which is #1 bestseller on Amazon right now for marketing and business, et cetera. He's going to be there teaching his 8-step blueprint for personal branding. Lauren Johnson, she was the previous mindset coach for the New York Yankees. Sometimes, Tony, I'm like, where do I find these people? How does this work? But I just feel really blessed, man. They are all coming out. They're flying over from all over the country. We have one of the best advertising experts in the world who's going to be there, Jamie Harmon. She's going to be sharing with us. I mean, it's just Emmy award-winning producer Val Brown. I could go on and on, but it's a really tight, close event, close as far as proximity of people who are going to learn a lot. And relationships are rocket ships. You get around the right people, it's seemingly then the right things happen. And so really, really excited about it, man. So yeah, that's what's going on there.
How do people learn about it? And I know that you were kind enough to put a discount code around my name, Tony, so we can get people a discount. This show, just so you know, this episode isn't about buy a ticket, get to an event, but I'm a big believer events change lives. And if you can get to the right events, I promise you something magical happens when you get around like-minded individuals, but also people who have been doing it a little bit and will help you to avoid the ups and downs, the pitfalls of life too. So what's the URL?
Yeah, it's nickcavuto.com/event, NICKCAV, like victory, UOTO.com/event. And really, again, this is for, people who would self-prescribe as high achieving entrepreneurs, people who really want to make a big difference in the world, but at the same time, they want to have a really successful business. The proximity power of getting around the right people who have been there, done that. They've gone through the pitfalls. They've celebrated the mountaintop. That's why this is so critically important, and why I've really encouraged my whole community to come. And by the way, there's only 3 spots left. We've already had 17 signups in a week. There's only 3 spots left. And so I just really want to encourage you, if this is something you want to do, feel free definitely and use that promo code for Tony. And we'll get you there. It'd be a ton of fun to have you.
I got to ask 2 questions. This is one of the most common objections people have, right? It's time and money, right? And so when people say, it's a lot of time, I got to take out, I got to travel, I don't know if I can really afford it, What would you say to somebody when you get met with that objection?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, on the time equation, it's like, I think a lot of people spend so much time in their business, and they spend so much time doubling down, trying to solve the same problem every single day in the same 4 walls. One thing you've taught me, Tony, is like when you change your environment, you change the results that happen in your life, whether that's, habits that you have at home, or whether that's has to do with exercise, or whether it has to do with your business. When you shift your environment, you can shift the outcome. And it's just one of those things, I think, truly, that's just often overlooked. It's like, how about you invest your time having 20 people? This is not just having great speakers. This is 20 other high performing entrepreneurs who get it, who are going to be in the room, and you can present a problem and you might feel like, this has got to be an issue that someone who I know, or someone who may be connected to me, has solved before. I mean, gosh, you're running a massively successful company. Someone would be silly to sit in their office for another week or for another couple days going like, well, I'll just continue to try this, solve the same problem that's been the puzzle for the last 3 years of my life. You have to change your environment. You have to change your pattern. You have to do something different in order to get a different result. So when it comes to time, I can blow over that one easy. This is time that you're going to invest, that you're going to get a return on. You're not going to leave the room without getting the answers that you need in order to move your business forward. That's the first thing. When it comes to money, this is, again, a very straightforward one. There's over $30,000 in value. If someone was to go to one of your events, one of Mike's events, one of Lauren's events, who's the mindset coach for the New York Yankees, we have an Emmy award-winning producer who's going to help when it comes to branding your story and all those types of things. You're going to pay over 30 grand just to get into the room with these people. And with the promo code, I mean, it's $2,000 for them to show up and spend time with us. I mean, it's wild. You can't afford not to do it. And I think the thing that I look at, because I have to do this internal assessment as well, is like looking at the result that you get by coming versus the result that you get by staying where you're at. You can't afford not to show up. and to actually see a transformation happen in your life. So that's where I sit with that. I mean, I've had people contact me and say, hey, like, I really need this to work because like, hey, I'm not yet a 6-figure entrepreneur. And then we have other people coming who are running, multiple 8-figure businesses. So the people who are kind of early on in their journey are seeing the potential value of going like, man, if I can just rub shoulders with these people, if I can just get one conversation, over a fireside chat or at a VIP dinner, like to me, it's incredibly worth it. So yeah, that's the jam.
I remember early on, I heard something a long time ago, and I branded it for it to work with me. People say, it's money. I don't have the money. And I'm like, no, you don't have the mindset. If you wanted money, like, concert's coming into town, or I want this new car, or, hey, I need to move, what would you be motivated to do? You'd find a way, right?
Right.
And I remember, people go sell their PlayStations or Xboxes. Like, you have stuff that's holding you back from achieving what you want, but you won't let go of it because you hold on to it. My dad did that for the majority of his life. He had a little box of possessions and he carried it with him. And it was his like arc, and it was also his crutch. And sometimes you gotta drop the rock. You and I did that great exercise, and I think it helped a lot of people to realize, what are you holding onto that you need to let go so you can become the person you ultimately want to be. And I'm really, just by the way, on the record, off the record, I meet all the time with you. I'm just beyond proud of you, because I know when you, a year or so ago, your business implodes, life changes, and you're like, shit, what do I do? You found somebody, right, to walk with you so you didn't have to walk by yourself. That's what live events do. Rubbing elbows is one thing, but like seeing the results that somebody has and saying, all right, what do I need to do? You're in a room to raise your hand and ask questions like, Mike, would you tell me, how did you get to the point where you wanted to go write a book? And then next thing you know, you'll ask another question is like, what was the process like? So now anybody thinking about writing a book has a person who just wrote a #1 bestseller on Amazon sitting there in the room telling you. Or how do you help Aaron Judge when he gets up to play, to bat and he keeps striking out? How do you get and affect the mindset so he can swing and get back to his sweet spot of hitting homers again? Like, what are the little magical things that you can make as, mindset adjustments? That's why it's not a money issue. It's a mindset issue. And you want to learn how to do it, come check out The Power of Influence. I'm excited to speak. Nick, last question for you.
Sure.
And we're going deep. This is anybody right now who's ever had kids. I stopped at 2. I think you decided that 3 wasn't enough. And so magic 4. How do you prepare for life change? That's 2 kids per your wife and 2 kids for you walking down the street. How the heck are you going to manage this, bro?
Well, first you got to pray. No, man. I mean, it's one of the things I'm really grateful for is, my wife and I, we met and married in a year. Our families actually knew each other for a long time. Our parents did. But we met and married in a year, and we grew up very, very similar as far as value systems and expression of faith and all these different elements, which is truly really helpful because there's so much alignment on all the foundations of family life. But I remember asking my wife the question of like, hey, so like, what do you want in life? Like, what's the #1 thing that you want? She's like, I just want to be a mom. And originally she wanted to have like 7 kids. So stopping at 4 is actually, we're just over halfway there. But we're not going to have 7. I don't plan to, at least. But, one of the things that we've realized is like having the right support system around us is really, really critical. Having the right people around us to be supportive is huge. And at the end of the day, I think it really comes down to, really just looking at like how we communicate, how we support one another, how we, really have the things that we value in life, like different vacations and time with the kids and getting individual time with them. A lot of it just comes down to setting proper expectations and being consistent at home with what's required. So that's what we found that's really, really huge. It's like, what? How do you manage chaos? Like you have to be a bit of a lightning rod, and that's what I do in my family as far as how I show up. We are very traditional in our roles. So my wife does a lot of the things as far as like the family planning and all of those elements. And for me, it's a lot of stability and it's a lot of consistency with the kiddos. And it's a big difference when I'm present and available. And also for her, when we have time and when business is going well and all of those things, that we can really solidify those family memories. I heard it this way, like memories happen in kind of like unseen moments. Like they just happen, and those create the memories that you want. So for us, it's really just focusing on the simple things and the foundational elements, and honestly, just having a good time together, I think is massively underrated, to just actually like not have complex conflict, to not sweat the small stuff. So that's what we're focused on doing, is just really enjoying each other and our kids and loving on them every day. So we're learning as we go. I mean, I'm 30. I just turned 34. My wife's 32. We're going to have 4 kids. I mean, it's no joke, but we're grateful, man. And they're all healthy and amazing. And
I love it. I read this morning. I was doing a little bit of work around my program. I'm going to replace the word Max with Ashley. Today, Ashley and I try to communicate what we feel rather than what we think. We used to argue about our differing ideas, but we can't argue about our feelings. I can tell her she ought to not think a certain way, but I certainly can't take away her right to feel however she does feel. When we deal in feelings, we tend to come to know ourselves and each other much better. And then just a little bit down the road, it tells me this. It says, acceptance is the key to my relationship with God today. I never just sit and do nothing while waiting for him to tell me what to do. Rather, I do what is ever in front of me to be done, and I leave the results up to him. However it turns out, that's God's will for me.
Yeah.
And I just got to tell you, man, God put you in my life when I needed you. God has continued to nurture our relationship. I'm excited for the power of influence. I'm honored to be attending, not necessarily just speaking, but to attend an event, because what you can do in a room is magical. It's, if you can think about it, you're very much the conductor. You can turn your back and you can create masterpieces with the instruments you've been given, and you are going to do just wonderful things with the 17 so far. We'll close out the 20. We'll get you there. I'm just excited for the food trucks. That's a side note. 3 days of food trucks.
Los Dos.
That's worth the price of admission right there. Have a speed pass to get what I want. But no, bro, I'm really, really excited and proud of you. So keep doing what you're doing. Cavuoto.com/event. Use the promo code Tony, Tony. I'll save you $1,000 by getting there. I look forward to meeting you in person. Remember, if you're thinking, is this for me? You're already halfway to the event. Like you should already be there, right? Secondly, if you like, I don't really know, go to the event, because events change lives. That's Nick. I'm Tony. And until next time, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, choose to make today the absolute best day of your life.
Thanks for listening to today's show. But before you go, let me ask you a question. How would you like to be the architect of your journey in this game we call life? Take the next step now at www.tonygrebmeyer.com. Enter your details to get the first week of the Be Fulfilled Journal for free. It includes access to our private community of thousands of other entrepreneurs. It'll give you more clarity and freedom in your day, and it might just change your life forever.